2029. And the last witness that is expected to make a presentation to the Expanded Planning and Budgeting Committee is the Ministry of Agriculture. So it's making its presentation, and the committee is looking at the mid-term budget plan 2026 to 2028. Stay tuned and enjoy the deliberations. This is Parliament TV, the station that is dedicated to bringing Parliament closer to you. And we do apologize that we're unable to get that sound from there, but once it's back. But in the picture we have on Expanded Planning and Budgeting Committee about to receive a submission from the Ministry of Education. And remember that this committee is looking at the mid-term budget plan 2026-2028. Looking at
IDPS, good afternoon. My name is Konas Munji, a member of Parliament for Alikwanda. You are welcome to the committee. What we are going to do is, because you have been waiting for too long, I will not allow my members to introduce themselves, but they will introduce themselves as they ask questions. So your team can introduce itself, then thereafter we continue our program. I'll give you 30 minutes to go through your submission. I've given them 30 minutes. You can start with the introductions.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, honorable members. My name is Lem Kafomfa, Acting Permanent Secretary Administration, Minister of Agriculture.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, members. My name is Petronella Lesa. I'm standing in for Director Agribusiness and Marketing Department.
Good afternoon, Chairperson. Good afternoon, honorable members of the committee. My name is Mary Jilala Mijolo. I'm acting Police and Planning Director.
Good afternoon, Chair, and good afternoon, members. My name is Likambi Mulambo, Acting Director of Finance.
Next.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, Honorables. My name is Siska Kenneth, Director, Plant Quantum Phytosanitary Service in the Ministry of Agriculture.
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, members. My name is Rebecca Bandam-Tonga. I'm the Senior Budget Analyst.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair. Good afternoon, Honorable Members. I'm Nathan Perry, Acting Director, Department of Seed Control and Certification Institute.
Good afternoon, Chair and the Honorable Members of the committee. My name is Chizumba Shepande. I'm Director, Department of Agriculture, Ministry of Agriculture.
Thank you. I want to comply with the Cap 12 of the laws of Zambia. By this cap, you are allowed to interact with the committee in any way you want. However, this Cap 12 can work against you should you mislead the committee. But I take it that you are aware of these provisions and then you will not drive away from what is supposed to be done. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'll read through the notes regarding the medium-term budget plan, the 2026 budget green paper. Allow me to express my gratitude to the expanded planning and budgeting committee for according to us the opportunity to orally present our comments on the 2026 medium-term budget plan and the 2026 budget green paper. The outline of the presentation is as follows: your introduction, mandate of the ministry, overview of the MTB, opportunities and threats, the Ministry of Agriculture 8th National Development Plan priorities, Ministry of Agriculture proposed allocations in 2026, the FISIP migration, challenges and recommendations. As an introduction, allow me to state that the ministry contributed to the formulation of the 2026-2028 medium-term budget plan and the 2026 budget green paper. Honorable members of this committee, as agriculture is an economic sector, the ministry support of the green paper focus on measures to stimulate economic growth through private sector development, enhance production and productivity, and the efficient delivery of public services to promote job creation and improved livelihoods. My ministry is therefore grateful for this opportunity to outline our position on the 2026-2028 medium-term budget plan and the 2026 budget green paper under review by this honorable committee. As the committee may be aware, Chair, our mandate is derived from the Government Gazette Notice number 1123 of 2021, and the following are the ministry's functions: agricultural credit, agricultural development, agricultural marketing policy, agricultural research and specialist services, agricultural training, agricultural policy, agricultural extension and field services, food security, irrigation development, plant quarantine and phytosanitary services, and seed standards and grades. The functions I've just listed guide the formulation of the ministry's programs and policies, as well as the selection of budget priorities in the medium term. Honorable Chairperson, I move to the overview of the medium-term budget plan and the budget green paper. I will now outline some of the opportunities and threats we have identified from the analysis presented in the budget green paper. With respect to the opportunities, the ministry has taken note of the projected stability in the international oil prices. It must be noted that stability in this variable will benefit the sector, as agriculture depends heavily on fuel for transporting goods from farms to markets. When oil prices are stable, transportation becomes more affordable and reliable, Chairperson, reducing post-harvest losses and improving market access. Further, the projected stability in the international price of oil may result in some savings in the cost of production in this sector. As you are aware, fuel is a major input in the production, processing, and marketing of agricultural commodities. Therefore, stability in fuel prices may help in controlling the costs of production. Honorable Chairperson, the Ministry welcomes the projection that the manufacturing sector will register positive growth. We are aware that agro-processing contributes significantly to the output recorded in the manufacturing industry. This growth is therefore expected to result in more agro-processing and market opportunities for producers in the agriculture sector. So welcome the continued rollout of the digital identity system by central government. This initiative will significantly enhance the ministry's capacity to improve this and strengthen the monitoring of beneficiaries under existing interventions, such as the Farmer Input Support Program and the Sustainable Agriculture Financing Facility. Honorable members, the projected growth in the ICT sector will help provide the necessary infrastructure to support the full migration of FISIP to the electronic voucher system of input distribution. As you are aware, the previous efforts to migrate to the e-voucher were affected by the ICT infrastructure challenges across the country. Furthermore, the integration of mobile extension services will complement this effort by expanding access to timely agronomic advisories, weather updates, and market information, particularly for smallholder farmers in remote areas. Honorable Chairperson, the next slide underscores the recognition of climate change as a leading medium-term threat to the sustainability and resilience of agricultural production. Crop production in Zambia is mostly rain-fed, and as such, the unpredictability of weather and climate conditions pose a significant risk to the sector's performance. Honorable Chairperson, in mitigating this threat, government will continue to promote climate-smart agricultural practices in the medium term. From the Green Paper, we also note the threat of economic slowdown in China and other markets. This threat may result in reduced demand for Zambian exports, impacting foreign exchange inflows and income for our farmers. We therefore plan to strengthen economic engagement with emerging markets across Asia, the Middle East, and Africa to foster trade, investment, and regional cooperation. Further, Honorable Chairperson, climate change poses a potential threat to food security not only domestically but also across other member states within the SADC and COMESA regions. Food insecurity in the region may increase pressure on the grain produced in our country. In ensuring that the nation remains food secure, the Food Reserve Agency procured not less than 1 million metric tons to secure sufficient stock for national strategic reserves. Honorable members, we have indicated some of the 8th National Development Plan priorities which the Ministry will implement in the medium term. The table on pages 5 and 6 of our submission highlights 8th National Development Programs under the Ministry. Honorable Committee members, the Farmer Input Support Program will fully be migrated to 100% e-voucher in the 2025-2026 agriculture season. The table included in the presentation outlines the migration plan of the Farmer Input Support Program, detailing the strategic transition path adopted by the Ministry. In the medium term, government has prioritized the enhancement of agricultural extension service delivery, the scaling up of farm block development, and the continued investment in irrigation infrastructure. The ministry has commenced a nationwide dam mapping exercise aimed at strengthening existing irrigation infrastructure. This intervention seeks to expand the area under irrigation by an additional 500,000 hectares over the medium term. This is aimed at supporting national production targets of 10 million metric tons of maize, 1 million metric tons of soybeans, and 1 million metric tons of wheat. Further, government to operationalize mechanization centers in all 10 provinces. These centers will serve as hubs for affordable mechanization services and equipment, supporting the adoption of modern and efficient farming methods. With regard to medium-term budget allocations, I am happy to report that the Budget Green Paper has made provisions to implement 8th National Development Plan priorities in extension, irrigation development, and the farm block development. The committee may further wish to note that following the launch of the CASIP, we expect more resources to be mobilized for 8th National Development Plan and CASIP implementation. Honorable Chairperson, I now wish to draw the committee's attention to a brief overview of the Ministry's proposed allocations for the 2026 fiscal year. The Ministry of Agriculture has been allocated 13 billion in the 2026 budget. The Ministry is pleased to note that the allocation to 8th National Development Plan priorities has increased from 565 million in 2025 to the proposed 633.5 million in 2026. The increase in allocation is timely and commendable, as it will significantly contribute to the attainment of the targets outlined in the 8th National Development Plan. However, Ministry's total non-donor budget has reduced by 274 million in the 2026 fiscal year. This reduction is primarily attributed to the decrease in the allocations for the Farmer Input Support Program, Strategic Food Reserves, and other programs. From the table in our presentation, the committee may wish to note that the budget for Farmer Input Support Program, purchase of strategic reserves, personal emoluments, and grants and payments represent 94.6% of the total proposed non-donor allocation in the year 2026. Honorable members, let me turn your attention to some of the key challenges the Ministry of Agriculture may encounter as we implement the 2026-2028 medium-term budget plan. First, we must address the increasing threat of climate variability and droughts, which continue to undermine rain-fed agriculture. These erratic weather patterns pose a serious risk to productivity and food security, especially for small-scale farmers whose livelihoods depend on consistent rainfall. To this end, the Ministry will prioritize climate-smart interventions, including accelerated investment in irrigation infrastructure, promotion of drought-resilient crop varieties, and scaling up of water harvesting technologies. Secondly, honorable members, while the Farmer Input Support Program and Strategic Food Reserves remain critical for safeguarding national food stability, it is important to acknowledge that these budget lines currently absorb over 94% of the Ministry's non-donor allocation. This concentration restricts our ability to fund complementary initiatives that could further enhance agricultural resilience and rural transformation. In this regard, we propose to assess the feasibility of reallocating a proportion of the fiscal budget towards strategic programs such as mechanization centers, research and development, irrigation, and extension services, while safeguarding core input delivery objectives. Honorable members, it is only through targeted evidence-based interventions that we can build a more diversified, inclusive, and climate-resilient agricultural sector. Honorable Chairperson and members of the committee, I now conclude my presentation this afternoon. On behalf of the Ministry, I express our sincere gratitude for the opportunity to share our position on the 2026-2028 medium-term budget plan and the 2026 Budget Green Paper. Thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, any questions? Honorable Mayungo, General Strala, Honorable Tinta. Your mic, yes.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, PS, for your presentation. May I take you to page 8, the last page, on your recommendation, where you want a reallocation of resources from FISIP to other programs. Now, I think this is where we have had problems to deal with our agricultural sector, in the sense that much of the resources are going to one program, that is FISIP, leaving other important programs that actually are supposed to drive the production and productivity in the sector. Research, extension, even infrastructure, they are not being given resources. But now, in here, I think the picture that is coming out, one would wonder whether the ministry has had a say in this issue, because here what I'm saying is it's a push to reduce the money that is going to FISIP. That's what you are trying to imply here. I don't know whether you've spoken to the Ministry of Finance where they can allocate more resources to these other programs. And then maybe what is also lacking here is you are not giving us how much do you want to go towards these other programs, even as you want to reduce the budget line on FISIP. I think that way it will help us, even as we try to talk on your behalf as a committee, to make sure that government actually allocates resources. Because for me, Chair, having worked in the ministry, I would say that it's like an academic exercise. For as long as the research or extension services are not funded, and it means whatever you are doing is nothing, because those are the key drivers of the sector in terms of its outputs. So I think I wanted to find out why do we have figures that we can attach to these other programs that we want supported. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chair. Maybe I'll start with the rider to what my colleague has asked there, the PS. This FISIP thing will be on it government after government. We are not progressing. And primarily the reason is that we are directing the program to wrong people in the rural areas. Maybe not wrong people, we seem to be emphasizing on just I think giving people to something to consume rather than people who can really produce. Most of the inputs are going towards just being sold. The people you are targeting. Is it not high time, the PS, that we thought of including people who are productive, especially in the rural areas, like those who are working, the teachers and so on? Maybe we can improve. The second one, or the main question that I want to ask the PS, is on the farming blocks. It's a pity, and I'm asking this in this room. This is the second time now. I think the other team came. I talked about the same thing. We are making a mockery of the whole thing, year in, year out, talking about farming blocks which are not improving or where nothing is being done. I think you make our work sometimes very, very difficult. I have a farming block in my constituency, let me be very specific, which was started under UNIP. UNIP gone, MMD gone, PF gone. We are now UPND. 4 years we've been talking about the same farming block. Nothing, and I mean nothing, not even a kilometer, not even an inch is moving. So why do we want to make pronouncements on things that we know we cannot start? It is not the best. I really want to hear an honest opinion from you. When are we starting? And maybe to be specific, I'm talking about Kalumange farming block now. and it's not the only one. I've attended a number of meetings, including NGOs. I think the only farming block we can talk about today is Nasange, where even itself the pace is very, very slow. What is happening? We are hearing World Bank is funding these farming blocks, but nothing really is happening. And you know, people on the ground, people who are there, some of them are retirees who worked in the offices where you worked, and you can't be going to address meetings to tell them we have received money for farming blocks. The whole year, 2 years, 3 years down the line, nothing is happening. And yet, Chair, I will take a little bit of time. For me, these are the farming blocks which can help us. Today we are celebrating a bumper harvest. It is coming from small scale farmers. If we have a drought, God forbid this year again, we'll be going back to what we had the other year. But if these farming blocks are improved with the proper irrigation systems, then we are going to achieve something. Even the loans you are giving now, if I'm to extend the question, but I think it's important because we are talking about farming here. You are announcing and telling people there are these loans for agriculture which you are giving through the banks. The bank will not give you a loan if there is nothing on your piece of land or something to hold as surety. And what is happening now is confusion, because some farmers are going there, the banks go and inspect, they find there is nothing. They are not willing to give these loans. So can we also be specific and be very straight from the beginning that only those maybe with the properties can be able to get these loans? I think that way it will help, so that we have something systematic rather than giving people hope. At the end of the day, they are running around going to the banks and they're told you can't get the money. So maybe your comments on these three issues I will appreciate. And for the sake of the many farmers out there who are waiting, especially the issue of farming blocks, is really something that is very embarrassing, to say the least.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I will substantiate the FISIP question. Very good intention, but if you are proposing that you want to reduce the allocation of FISIP, we should also be talking about how are you going to do it. Because the question is, are we having farmers who are going to be weaned off this year? Because I think the discussion over many years has been, we have been failing to wean off some farmers who have been on FISIP. There are farmers who have been on FISIP for the past 20 years. So if you are reducing, because the number for farmers on FISIP, is it 1 million or whatever? In my constituency, it is 30,000. And those 30,000, they know that year in, year out, they will be there. So if we are to reduce it, which is a very good intention, how do you think that reduction can be done? Just to substantiate this question. But my key question is on the SAF. PS and your team, you need to also admit that the SAF, the way it was managed last year, it was a disaster. Maybe only in Tezitezi, but I can also agree that even in many other districts, it was haphazardly done. Communication between you and the banks, chaos. Communication between the ministry and the province and the district, chaos. How do you think, very good intention, maybe it was the first year, but how do you think this SAF, because this SAF can help us to reduce the pressure on FISIP, but the chaos which was associated last year, if we are not ready, let's not have it. How do you think this SAF can be improved? What lessons did you learn? What didn't you do better? What do you think you can improve? I know it's the bank which administers this, but there was something which was not adding up. How do you think you improve the SAF as part of the relief to the FISIP? Thank you. PS, the issue of farming blocks, as the Honorable Joshua stated, actually leaves much to be desired. I will tell you that this committee last year went we haven't been to We went to Nasanga, a similar problem. Kalumwange, there was no infrastructure, no roads, no water. There's a small farming block in Nalikwanda for Kasho. Nothing is happening. That's why you are seeing these members are talking like that. Year in, year out, we see money being budgeted, but on the ground, there's nothing happening. May we have your comment, PS?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. My colleagues are here, the experts, to help. However, I'd like to say on the first question on the reallocation of resources, I'm reliably informed that we are looking at a figure of 550 million kwacha to be added to research, extension services and mechanization in order to complement the production in the agricultural sector. However, Chair, on the FSIP being redirected from the small-scale farmers, we are aware that the small-scale farmers who are being helped with FSIP, they contribute a number of bags to FRA so that they contribute to the food strategic reserves. On the farming blocks, Chair, I will request the Director of Agriculture to respond in that area. Director of Agriculture, sir.
Yeah, thank you, PS. Thank you, Chair. The Farm Block Development Program actually is one of the key priority areas of the Ministry of Agriculture, alongside irrigation, mechanization, as well as climate smart agriculture. These are the four component parts that the ministry is trying to promote if we are to increase productivity in the country. There have been a few issues that have really affected the development of the farm blocks. I'm happy that the question is coming from Honorable Sitwala from Kalumwange Farm Block. I think we have also seen, Honorable, the efforts that the ministry has done. I think we have made a number of trips to Kalumwange Farm Block itself. The Honorable has accompanied us, I think, on a couple of times. There were a few issues there in terms of land acquisition. There were issues to do with the inquiry establishment versus the BRE, and then it took us almost a year for us to have those problems resolved. We had even to involve the Provincial Minister for Western Province, the PS Western Province, and finally I want to confirm that the issues have been resolved. The land now has been made available, and our teams were on the ground. The entire farm block, Kalumwange Farm Block, has been demarcated into a number of farms, and in the last committee of ministers that sat to look at the allocation of land to the core ventures or the major farmers in that farm block, a list actually was made. We have the list, and which was presented before our high authorities. So there is a proposal actually before cabinet. I think a cabinet is being prepared that the management of farm blocks will be transferred to IDC. So IDC, once the Ministry of Agriculture does the demarcation of the various farms, then IDC comes in to identify potential investors, the core ventures that should run the farm blocks. I agree 100% that there have been delays in these farm blocks, but good examples of some things are happening. If you go to Nasanga, the Zambia Correctional Services, Serenje Properties, I'm happy that you also mentioned Luswish Farm Block, where we've got Global Plantations. They also contributed very highly in the last farming season that we had. So there's something happening, and I'm sure that very soon we'll have sufficient traction in the development of the farm blocks. I submit, Chair.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shepande. Chair, on the SAF and the modalities of reducing FSIP, ask my colleague standing in for Director Agribusiness to respond.
Thank you, PS. So maybe I could just make a comment briefly on the Farmer Input Support Program. So like you've rightly put it, for a long time it's been running for 20 years, and I think there has not been efforts to ensure that targeting is improved. But from the 2024-2025 farming season, I think the ministry made an effort to ensure that targeting is improved. We made an effort to ensure that we confirm that the person who's collecting the inputs exists. So what we did was we needed to clean out the farmer register of the farmers who are being supported on the program. And what we did was we collaborated with ZICTA and also the MNOs, where we ensured that the farmer details, the name, the NRC, and the phone number were matching. So these details were entered into the ZAMIS system, where for any given farmer, if you pick a phone randomly, you call, that farmer should pick the phone. So then you prove that that farmer exists. And also the DACOs were encouraged to confirm where the farm for that farmer is located and whether that farmer truly is doing the actual farming. What is important is that the farmer needs to have an active phone number, because this also assists in other interventions like weather advisory and other extension services. Our members may be aware that the FISI program has been migrated from the direct input supply to the e-voucher, where if a farmer has been selected like it is now, we have evidence that only those who manage to sell to FRA will migrate to the 2025-2026 farming season. This is just a pilot, and it will show that someone has really been doing production. So farmers are being encouraged to ensure that they at least sell a minimum of 10 bags, because all the farmers on FISIP and SAF were bonded. They have an agreement with the ministry to ensure that they are going to support FRA by selling the minimum 10 bags. So the way e-voucher will work is that a redeeming code will be sent to the farmer. So a farmer will not depend on a cooperative chair to go and collect the inputs. The farmer himself has to go and collect and sign for the inputs, because in the past, a cooperative chair will go and collect on behalf of all the farmers in that cooperative who were selected, and some would not even know that they've qualified for that season. We are also encouraging the DACOs and maybe the community leaders to be interested, to ensure that all those who are eligible in that constituency or chiefdom or community, the list will be published so that everyone knows the information is out there. All the farmers will know that have qualified, and messages will be sent on their phones to tell them that you've qualified for this season. Here is your code, please proceed, go to the agro dealer and collect your inputs. We are also not encouraging farmers to discount. Where a farmer goes to an agro dealer, they get cash instead of collecting the inputs. So that is not allowed on the program. What has also happened is that the ministry has concluded the registration of agro dealers. We've registered about 1,000. We received 1,300 applications. Of these, 900 were verified, and 532 have been approved, and codes have been sent for them to start inputting their details in the ZAMIS, because we want to start the season early. Farmers should collect their inputs in good time so that they plant in good time. What we would need also is for the ministry to expedite the establishment of the monitoring framework, monitoring system, so that we have the details of the farmers, where they're located, so that we enhance also the monitoring of what they're actually producing, and also improve on the training of the farmers. Coming to the staff, we agree that there was overwhelming response from the farmers, and we had a rethink of how the program should be managed, and we think that a loan is a loan and it has to be paid back. So those who got loans under the SAF should pay back, because the intention was for it to be a revolving fund. And the target was emergent farmers, those who are working, those who have the know-how of how to do their farming. And this time around, those who got for the 2023-2024 will be encouraged to go back to the banks and have their loans restructured. Then also for the next phase of the SAF, I think it's going to be redesigned. For those wanting to just get seed and fertilizer, I think the amount might be reduced to 50,000, but where the discussions are still going on with Ministry of Finance. Then also the issue of collateral has to be introduced, because we are looking at farmers who are serious farming, who are taking farming as a business, because farming is a business. If you get a loan, you have to pay it back, and it's a revolving fund. So we think that with a few enhancements which are going to be made for the next phase of SAF, I think the targeting will be improved, and we are also encouraging that farmers should put that money to good use. I submit.
Before Honorable Mbeka comes in, I wanted to find out, on the SAF program, what controls are you putting in place to ensure that the people who get these loans are actually farmers, and not anyone who can just come and say, I want a loan, and then is given, and then he goes to do other things. Then
thank you, Chair. Constituency-based experience in Shangombo. Some people got SAF loans, yes, and we're supposed to have a good harvest this year. Unfortunately, about 9 wards from the trove, the elephants are the ones who harvested. So that is more like, I can say, natural disaster, because the Minister of Tourism has failed to control the elephants in Shangombo. So what are you going to do to those people? Because it's not their fault, it's the elephants, and the elephants are your elephants. Thank you.
Honorable Mutinda?
Thank you so much, Chairman. PS, from the Director's explanation of how you are improving the targeting on FISIP, you described that there was a process which was undertaken with the ZICTA. So I just want to know how many people are sitting on FISIP, so that we understand that there is space which has been created. I think that's the spirit of my question. From that exercise, what came out? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Chair. I'm just taken aback that the elephants harvested in my brother's constituency, and I will describe it as a natural disaster. I hope the modalities. My colleague had mentioned that some of the loans which were obtained, they will need to be restructured, and the people should visit with proof, of course, from the risk assessment teams from the various banks. They'll be able to advise on that. On the numbers which were dropped, I think actually a representative from ABM will be able to give us those numbers.
Thank you, PS. Prove that the farmer exists. I know that all the farmers belong to a camp. So the camp extension officer has to confirm that this farmer is coming from this camp. There's a form which they fill out, and they do a due diligence before they submit the forms to the DACO. And so this time around, once that confirmation is done and the DACO is convinced that the farmer exists, the form will be given back to the farmer, who himself will go to the bank for the further appraisal. Then the issue of the elephants, I think there was a component on insurance which was attached to the loan component. So maybe the affected farmers may be advised quickly to alert the banks, so that the insurance quickly sets in, because they have to do the assessment. The bank has to do its own assessment. I submit. And then additionally, on the cleaning out of the farmer register, we call them ineligible farmers. We don't call them illegal. 12,000 ineligible farmers were removed on the program. These were replaced, and 208,000 farmers were introduced to replace the ineligible farmers. I submit.
Before we close, I think I'll give a chance to General Swara. He was complaining that I didn't give him enough time to ask. General Swara, any other question? Thank you very much, General Swara. Okay.
He will step on my feet again. I'll completely finish.
Okay. There's one is it a Benny question?
Yes. PS also the issue of insurance. I've got a long list here for the payout in Itestes. The highest got 100 kwacha. What are you trying to do so that we manage this insurance so it becomes meaningful? And for the benefit of what the Honorable asked, there's a project which is starting, which is attempting to compensate people who lose crops, lives under animal human conflict. Are you aware of it? Is it something we can connect you? Because these people, they came to meet the speaker 2 days ago.
They're not supposed to be under the Ministry of Tourism.
I don't know, but it's
Comment appears.
Thank you, Chair. I was just trying to whisper to my colleagues. I think that has not come on our table yet about the compensation. Yeah. I think it's an avenue we'll try to pursue. Or I think must be sitting with our colleagues in the Ministry of Tourism, since we're dealing with animal human conflict. And for the last part, maybe before my colleague concludes, Honorable Chair and the committee, I wanted to state that we've done a lot on the mechanization aspect. We have 50 centers and we are adding 35 more. That will cover all our 7 training institutions. We have our 10 ZARI centers plus 3 more satellite research stations. Then we also looking at 5 irrigation centers to open mechanization centers, and the farmer training institutions, another 5. So that we, at the end of the day, by the end of the year 2026, we'll have a total of about 85 mechanization centers where our farmers need to access at a minimal fee, of course, so that we continue running those machines and opening more mechanization centers. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, PS. PS, I think the security of this country, the security of food in this country depends on your ministry. And we need to implement all the programs in a way which will produce more food. We are happy that you came, and we have deliberated very well. May I revoke our Cap 12 so that you can acquire yours from the ministry. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chair. Thank you, committee members.
Business in the Expanded Planning and Budgeting Committee for today, 29th July 2025, a day that started about 09:30 hours with the Ministry of Education. Later on, we had the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, and just about now, the Ministry of Agriculture just ended its interaction with the committee. And we hope that you've indeed enjoyed watching the deliberations that we've been airing on Parliament television. And this is about the time that I have to say goodbye to you. Thank you very much for being with me from the time we opened the station today, and I hope that you continue watching Parliament TV as we bring Parliament closer to you. Of course, in the afternoon, my colleagues will be on hand just to give you a picture of the business that the House is expected to consider this afternoon, beginning at 14:30 hours. So from me, Mtali Feli.